is that if I rush in here and I lose all these zerglings to a few tanks, I'm not too concerned about it, but this is exactly what I wanted to pick up right here. So 64 harvesters, and every one of those harvesters just gets absolutely annihilated, running out before no harm, no foul. That's exactly what I wanted right there. It was just a nice, easy little pickup, and as we can actually see now, he's morphing that into a planetary fortress because he's face palming right now because he just lost. Let's wait for this to update real quickly right there. He just lost 18 harvesters, to a small little group of lings, and that would not have happened if his troops would have been in the right position, but completely mined out over here, and he's getting this up and running. He's just training more SCVs over here, and he's got Hellions over here. I'm running these zerglings out so I can see what's happening, and, I'm just using little groups of zerglings to do some scouting. He's going to rush these Hellions back over here, and he's actually going to come right up into my third, but really not going to have too much of an opportunity to do anything. These guys are just going to get surrounded. The roach back there, quick work, done with that little scouting party, and I maintain my economic advantage. I actually should be seeking a fourth base at this point, or an infestation pit. That would be freaking fantastic, and I've got the Overlord speed working, and I will be getting carry capacity later on in this game, just in case I need to use drop play. I've actually been having some good luck with that, just loading up, 5 or 6 overlords and just dropping a lot of roaches in the base and sniping tech, sniping workers if you can. That's just freaking fantastic. Any units that are cut out in the open, like a few siege tanks sitting back here, just whatever you can pick up, take advantage of it, and then just get out and go, give a Terran a taste of their own medicine. As far as that goes now, as you can see, roaches and mutas, a very gas-heavy build, and it actually keeps your minerals a little high, which you can supplement with zerglings. You'll be using a lot of gas with this build, especially if you want to have a lot of mutas out on the field. And as you can see, I've got over 20 mutas. That's definitely a critical mass. The best counter to critical mass mutas happens to be a few Thors out on the field, because just, wow, ridiculous. 14 damage, you're looking at, like, might as well be 5 million damage to, a magic box mutas. It doesn't matter at that point. You get 3 or 4 Thors, and if you're not controlling these mutas, like if they're clumped like that, gone. You lose. And right now, I'm going to be moving out, and I'm going to try to snipe this command center, is the idea, because I know that he's got this one fortified, and he's actually moving his troops back over here. Nice little line of Marines and Thors. I like that. And as we can see, he's hoping to get this turned into a planetary fortress. If he can get that fortified as a fortress, I might not be able to break it with the SCVs and the mules that are there, but moving in, it's not going to get finished, and I'm not going to have a problem picking this off. And it can't lift off because it's mutating, changing building, and I'm actually going to try to lure this army out in building because I do not want to fight in that choke, not with these tanks sieged up, but you know what? The Zerg in me says, fuck it, we're going in here anyway. Banglings blowing up everywhere, tanks blowing up. Muta's going to try to magic box some open Thors, and what I'm actually going to do is, you can see my pack of mutas is greatly reduced. I really do not care about the roaches, I can care less about the zerglings, but every muta that I save is 100 gas that I do not have to rebuild. And as we can see, he's definitely come out on top of that. I'm trying to spam roaches right now. I've got 14 of them coming, and what's actually happening to me right here, and I'm literally scratching my head thinking, why can I not build more troops? This hatchery is not connected to my number 4 hotkey right now, and I've got almost 20 larvae sitting there, and I'm sitting here continuing to inject, thinking, my god, why am I so larva starved? Why can I not build anything? I've got Neural Parasite going down from my infestation pit, and I did grab Roach Speed. Do I even have any upgrades rolling? Yeah, I've got +1 attack for ground and +1 armor, but I'm deploying almost no ground attacking units. I might transition into ultras later in the game, and that's what those upgrades are good for. And he's going to break down these rocks over here, and look at this Marine. He was here first. You were the first Marine to shoot at this pile of rocks right here. And once Thor gets over here, he just starts ripping these rocks apart. I mean, these guys just insane with their, big pistols. Those are like, 44 mags on steroids. He's going to run in here, and I'm hopefully going to be migrating away most of these drones. And he's going to manage to snipe off my queen, kill a few of my drones. Nothing too horrible. And, I think it's when everything's gone that I realize that I've got so many larvae down here. I mean, and there we go, he's pulling back, and that's when I realized, what the F? I had all those larvae. I had all that mineral sitting there. If I would have had the roaches there, I would have pushed back that attack, and I would not have lost that expansion. So, kids, there you go. Hotkey your stuff. It wins games. And he's taken an expansion over here. This one's a planetary fortress now. He'll be re-expanding down here, I guarantee you, with another planetary fortress. And this has been something that I've been seeing with a lot of Terran players lately, is usually they like to have, you know, their first base and their expansion be orbital commands, but a lot of Terrans have just been turning these right into, you know, planetary fortresses, just for the sole fact that it prevents that harass from the ground. It basically forces me to get air to take it out, or a lot of banglings. And if I get air, you put some Thors and Vikings in there, it's a deadly mix, because if I want to drop these fortresses, I need the air power. But turrets, Vikings, you know, Broodlords, you really don't want to deploy them, because then you're going to be dealing with 28, you know, possibly 30 damage, you know, a shot from Vikings that just have 9 range and rip Broodlords apart, you know. I very rarely deploy Broodlords against a Terran opponent. If we take a look at this right now, I didn't even quite realize at this point in the game, but I'm almost completely out of minerals. I'm sitting on 170 food versus my enemy is only at 130. I should be pushing out right now. I've got all these roaches. There's so many roaches there. I mean, how many roaches? I've got 24, almost 50 roaches on the field. That is not, you know, something to be laughed at. The only thing that's going to deal with that properly is a lot of banshees. You know, not even a lot of banshees, about 5 or 6 banshees would actually start to make pretty quick work of this. And then, you know, some tanks. You know, 4 or 5 siege tanks could really lay fire into this. And I ran that zergling in there just to test the water, and all those tanks, you know, there's your 5 tanks sieged up as my roaches move in right now with that air line of sight. Boom, 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 boom. You know, that takes out half my roaches. You know, it takes 3 tanks to kill a roach, as far as I understand. Got 55, so I mean, these guys would just absolutely annihilate the roaches. There's another tank there. He's got a Raven, which normally you don't see a Raven mixed in, but definitely a nice idea with the point defense drone. You know, the build auto turrets can be very effective, or the Seeker missile. I kind of like the Hunter Seeker missile a little bit better, and you know, I guess if I'm going to knock my opponent for anything at this point in the game, it's just for not properly migrating these SCVs. You know, this is something that it's just kind of weird, where he's basically mining out one base completely and choosing to build more and more SCVs at each base. But, you know, the harvester count favors him right now, and my income is about to go right back up because I did get both of these bases up and running. I'm sorry I didn't kind of cover that, but I built my gas, and I got these bases up and running. Right now I'm sitting on, you know, just so much gas, but I need minerals. My mineral, you know, harvesting rate is just going to skyrocket straight back up where it needs to be, and that makes me a happy Zerg. And check this out, guys. I have hotkeyed this base. So now if I click on this hotkey, they're all going to one place. This is so cool. I'm really happy about that, actually, but I'm capped on food right now, 193 out of 200. I've got some upgrades cooking, pathogen glands, and Zerg missile attack, level 1, 2 more infestors. I'm morphing a hive, because I want to bring out the ultralisks. I want to go and I just want to exchange armies, and hopefully use any economic advantage that I think I might have on him at this point. And my food advantage has kind of disappeared. This is a really big-looking army. I don't want to have to deal with that with those tanks in siege mode. And without banglings, there's a decent number of marines right there where they could cause me a little bit of a headache, and I'm actually going to rush out right here. And this planetary fortress, he gets maybe 1 kill. That's enough to send this entire army packing, because I don't want to deal with that. I do not want to fight that with that limited number of mutas, or throw away my roaches killing a planetary fortress that has, what, 5 SCVs on it, and there we go, just fortifying that position with missile turrets. So right here, this is kind of what it's going to come down to. If he can siege up, he sees right there, he's got a few SCVs with him, he's going to siege up, and boom, 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 you know, cooks a few of those roaches, gets off, you know, some splash damage in there, didn't manage to kill any of my infestors. Now, this is going to be key right here, right now with these infestors. So, 2 infestors there, 4 infestors total, and we take a look, he's got Ravens in the sky, no Seeker missile yet, he's got tanks, Marines, Bio, Thors, and I thought I had more infestors than that out in the field at this point. Guess not. 4 infestors. And here he goes. He's going to push out. Oh, looks like I've got 5. So right here, I'm going to pause this for a second. This is about to get very, very nasty. Now, I've got a ton of roaches here, which is awesome. These tanks haven't quite sieged up, and they are out in the open, so they are very vulnerable. But if all 6 of these tanks can get off a shot right here, the bulk of my army just disappeared. There's enough mech, and there's some Raven support where he could drop enough of these build auto attack turrets, and really cause me a lot of problems. If he drops this expansion, that'll give him a huge economic boost, but as you guys can already see, there comes the Parasite. Now, this is really cool. Right here, 1 Thor, 2 Thor, tank, 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 and your army is mine, sucker. You know, just look at this. The roaches and the tanks firing down on his own bio units right there. Just absolutely annihilating his troops. My food count, you know, absolutely ruined his life right there with the army. I barely lost anything. Now, I actually took control of one of his ravens just for the hell of it, I think. And he's flying away these 2 medevacs. You need to let them go home, and they can tell everyone else what just happened. And, you know, that exchange definitely favored me. You know, he did manage to kill or stop a good amount of my mining potential right there, but the damage is done. I'm capped on food. I'm sitting on a lot of resources because I'm 200 out of 200 right now. His food count is way low, and he's got all of these SCVs not mining right here. This is just a big mistake. I think his game could have been way stronger if he just would have migrated his SCVs properly. There's an entire base's worth of saturation not being used, and right here the planetary fortress is up, and these troops just simply not going to be enough to stop these guys from running in right there. And, you know, I'm just eating these seeker missiles right now because I pretty much feel that the game is in my hands, and I'm literally brute forcing this planetary fortress down. I've got so many roaches that I just don't care at that point. And I think I dropped some. Yep, there we go. Dropped some infested Terran, but Wylo's gonna GG out of this just because the might of all these roaches was just too much. I mean, if you look at these guys, they are so cheap. I understand why everyone hates them because they cost almost nothing, but they've got so much health, they've got a lot of armor, and their attack is pretty strong with, you know, the 4 range can make them pretty deadly, but, you know, it's just this heavy roach play with infestors or mutas works out great against a lot of Terran because it's really versatile. You can use this to fight almost anything but air, but, you know, good fungal growths and some infested Terran and they're done. And I played a game tonight where I neuroparasited about 4 battle cruisers, and the enemy was just like, WTF, dude, why'd you do that? It was really funny. And I just thought this was a good game to show because the Hellions in the beginning were genius. You know, I'm going for a bangling strategy. It's almost like I was whispering to him, I'm going to use banglings and lings. And he's like, okay, I'm going to use Hellions. I'm like, super, I'm going to try to win doing that. And then, you know, he properly builds up. He plans for my attacks. He plans for what I knows I'm going to do. But, you know, just some scouting, a little bit of game sense can go a long way as to not running your mutas in and using some zerglings, you know, just a small little group to take them out. Or just continuing to send zerglings out here and try to find out where those expansions are, although I had no clue that that one was there. I could have done a way better job at spreading my creep. I could have had creep all the way out to the front of his base if I would have been more on that throughout this game. But anyway, I enjoyed playing the game, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. This is Malikicowtipper signing out.